the Auburn Blitz Podcast, your direct source for all Auburn all the time with Brett Pritchard, Faith Richardson, and Randy Lee.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Auburn Blitz Podcast here on this Friday morning. We're glad that you joined us wherever and whenever it is that you join us each and every day and making Auburn Blitz part of your daily Auburn athletic intake. It's Brett and Faith here on a Friday morning, carrying you into the weekend, and we're glad that you've joined us. Good morning, Faith.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. How can you not be doing good? It's Friday. And no, John, we didn't oversleep. I had a phone call I had to take, things pop up right before we went on. We're supposed to go on the air, so we're a little bit behind, but we appreciate you guys hanging with us. And yes, we are live. We definitely are live. It's not recorded. We've been having to record a few of them lately because of our schedule, but we are here live and in person. We're going to be able to interact with you this morning, and a lot to dive into. We will be on location at lunch today, but before we get to all that, we want to thank our partners.
Cincy Green, for air that's cool and clean, call on Cincy Green. They are the carrier experts in the state of Alabama, proud supporter of Auburn athletics and a proud supporter of the Auburn Blitz podcast. With how hot it is, you want to make sure that you've got AC running. You don't want to have a hot house after walking in from it being so hot outside, and carrier units are going to be reliable, and Cincy Green is going to save you thousands of dollars on that installation.
Absolutely. Scout Program Management, a full construction management firm located in Birmingham, Alabama, saving people millions of dollars because they will do it right. They'll make sure that your project from the pre-construction phase to the finished product is done correctly. Look, when you're spending that kind of money on a new school build or a renovation project, the last thing you want to do is have a bunch of stuff that's messed up. You got to hire people to come back in, and it will literally run a bill up of over $1 million. So Scout Program Management is going to manage your project from start to finish. So if you're trying to build something of that scale or you need somebody to come in and manage it, they're the ones to do it. So call on Scout Program Management today.
Bunkers in downtown Auburn. So much fun going over there and being able to just eat, have a great environment, great people there. They've got 27 different sports on the golf simulator bays. It's always awesome to cut a deal, and they've got some great summer deals. They're not going to last. School's starting back, so that means a lot of students are going to be going over there, and you want to make sure you can get there before all the deals end. But they always have happy hour deals, which is awesome. So go over to Bunkers in downtown Auburn, 50 parking spaces in the parking garage behind them.
Who has 50 parking spots anywhere? Seriously. I don't know of anybody other than Bunkers. So make sure you head on out. First impressions. We didn't have a media viewing window yesterday. So going off of what we saw day one, we kind of broke down a little bit of what we saw, but, just kind of some basic stuff. But, first impressions of when we walked in the door, what was it for you, Faith, that was different from last year? You covered the team inside the facility. You were there talking to the guys on a regular basis and interviewing them for games, in the pregame interviews and stuff. What was your initial, and you and I haven't even talked about this, so this is new for everybody. What was your initial first impression walking into camp the day before yesterday?
I was really excited to go in there and just feel out the vibes, because last year I talked about it a lot with my old internship, and basically it was a really, really good vibe last year where it felt like, okay, Hugh's got 1 year underneath his belt. We've got a lot of really great freshmen coming in. It's going to be a really young team, but it felt the chemistry was all there, which showed throughout the year that sometimes it doesn't really matter. The chemistry is all there. It wasn't there out on the field. This year going into it, with him having 2 years, he knows that he's kind of in a hot seat situation. it looks like the guys are they're ready at this point, I think, and they have had most of them a year, 2 years on the team at this point, and experience is growing, which is obviously a positive thing, but also there are some new guys that Auburn is really gonna rely on or have to rely on, but the guys that were previously on the team, we had a really young team, and it seems like now that they've got a year underneath their belt, some coaching, has happened that now they look more ready than they did last year.
I was going to say physically, this team looks, I mean, they look the part. Now, I know that doesn't mean anything when it comes to wins and losses, but if you don't look the part, you're definitely not going to get any wins. So it's kind of like, what are you saying when you say that? It's when you walk in, they look like a top tier SEC football team should look. And when I say that across all positions. You know, it's not where you go over and go, well, that defensive line is a little bit, you know, they're lacking a little bit, or you go over here in the secondary and you go, well, man, we're just not quite there yet. Or if you look at, you know, running backs, and I'm about to go somewhere with that, and you go, man, we're really not going to be able to rely on that, you know, that position group very much. I don't know that I can say that again about any position group. I think that's what stood out to me is like when you went to the DBs, they look like elite DBs. When you went to the linebacking drills, they look like elite linebackers. Even the freshmen, like J.J. Falk, you know, for example. When you went to the offensive line, everybody heard us say this. The offensive line just, I mean, they look like an NFL size offensive line, and they've got 6 guys projected to get drafted this coming up year. I mean, 6. I mean, when was the last time Auburn had 6 offensive linemen drafted, period? And then now they've got 6 projected, you know, if things go the way they should. So, I mean, that's where you start, I think. And I think that's the first impression that I had, and similar, obviously, to what you're saying, is that they look the part. And I know we'll go position by position here, and you'll probably have some things that are different than me, but for the most part, I think you hit the nail on the head. And not to name any other beat writers or people that cover Auburn, but I think they felt the same way that you did. Maybe last year it was kind of like, hey, maybe Hugh Freeze was right. Maybe we had to call the most perfect play in every situation, and if you didn't call the most perfect play in every situation, you could see it happen on the field that things didn't go right. Jason mentioned that several weeks ago here with us. He said, you know, we get to the red zone, instead of just lining up against teams and say, okay, we're just going to go get a first down. We felt like we had to make the perfect call all the time to put our guys in the best position to make a play. And maybe that won't have to happen this year.
Yeah, it felt like there was always a need for everything to be perfect without flaw. And I think a lot of that came down to the quarterback position, especially when it was at the time where it felt that each play that whichever quarterback went into, you know, kind of later on in the season, if there was a mistake, they were going to get yanked. And I think that was really hard on their mentality of, okay, if I make a mistake, I'm coming out. I need this to be perfect. You saw the miscommunication happen a lot last year, and that's something that comes with everything needs to be perfect. Each call has to be right. Were the coaches on the same page? Were the coaches in Peyton Thorne on the same page? And you could really see the disconnect. And Coach talking about how him and Jackson Arnold aren't quite yet on that mental state of, all right, we can kind of read each other and pick up what each other wants. I think that definitely needs to progress quicker, but you see more now that everyone is kind of grouped together, or at least in the same field of we're all on the same page.
And didn't you get a sense that things just flowed? I mean, did it feel like the first day of practice to you?
No.
It felt like they just stopped spring practice 3 days ago and
Yeah.
took a small break, and now everybody's back. And then, again, that was with a lot of guys that were out with injuries that didn't get a chance to participate in spring practice. So there's a lot of guys, this is their first time really getting going. So it just felt really, and I guess, that's what you want. I'm glad we didn't walk out there and it looked like a Chinese fire drill with people running all over the place and not knowing where to go. And it just looked like a well-oiled machine. All the drills, everything that we were allowed to see, everybody knew where to be at the right time. It just, things worked in a machine-like manner. And so that's a good thing. That from what you were saying and what I'm saying, that should relay a message to all the fans out there that, man, that's good, because it ain't always been that way. It's not always been, a well-oiled machine right out of the gate first day of practice. So, all right, some of the guys that stood out. We've talked about the offensive line. I'm going to go to the running backs. I was interested to see what our running back room looked like, and and especially Darrell Robinson, the transfer. And Faith, I don't know what I had in my mind of Darrell Robinson. I had this big, stocky kind of, I don't know, mentally in my mind. This guy's tall. He appears, off the hoof to be a lean, strong, physical-looking running back that has speed. He broke a run early in drills, and you and I and Jason were standing there together, and Jason's like, "Is that Darrell Rob?" I said, "Yeah, that's Darrell Rob." He said, "Well, he wasn't even supposed to be going full speed today." And he's like, "Well, guess that changed." And man, he just looked so impressive. And I knew he would be in the rotation, but you had Damari Alston and you had Jeremiah Cobb, who was limited with a finger injury. Man, you got those three guys. And then you even had Darrell Robinson. I mean, not Darrell Robinson, but Damari talking about Omar Matson getting some reps with the ones. And he's supposed to be in high school. And he said he reminded him a lot of himself when he was coming out and getting here and just doing whatever he's got to do to work. Like, I guess I would say I was overly impressed with the running backs, just what little I was able to see.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about how we've had that super strong running back core for the past couple of years, and Auburn's been really blessed with that. But this year, we haven't had the same strong presence that we've had in the past couple of years. And so thinking to Damari Alston, how he performed last year, there were a lot of deficits for him and a lot of areas for him to improve in, just going down with the ball, holding on to it, making sure, that he's careful. Yesterday or 2 days ago, whenever we were at practice, I told you they were doing certain drills and they had a little hole for them to run through. And Damari, he's on the smaller side. He fit right through it. And I think
At full speed. Yep.
I think the biggest thing for him this year will be not stopping his feet. Once he gets tackled, he's small enough to make it through those little holes in for him to keep going, but he can't stop moving his feet. And that's what we saw a lot last year, is once he got hit, it was kind of like, all right, I'm going down. This year, it's going to be so important for him to keep moving his feet, to try to just get inches even, or he's got the muscle that he's put on to break through some of those tackles, especially with his size. He can just slip away, but running and same thing. I always go back to Tank Bigsby, but Tank never stopped his feet. It didn't matter if he was on the ground at that point. You could see him still just trying to dig into the ground and just at least get another inch. And I think that's going to be super important for Damari this year.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's ready to be the leader in the backfield. But again, don't sleep on Jeremiah Cobb. I mean, we've heard coaches on the staff say, and just get ready, this guy's going to have a breakout season. And if you got two guys, and then you had Darrell Robinson, by the way, John asked where he transferred from, UConn. If you get a guy like Darrell Robinson added into the mix, all of a sudden, like and Damari Alston said yesterday, he said, Auburn fans are not going to see a drop off because Jaquoyus Hunter is gone.
Right.
He said, we're going to fill that gap and show everybody we're going to be fine, in the running back room. So that's an initial first impression there. Let's talk about some of our partners here on the program.
Sure Shot in Alex City. They've got all your firearm apparel and hunting needs. They sell and trade new and used firearms. They've got a plethora of different handguns, everything. What?
Big words.
Thanks. Where they know every single thing about everything in their store, which is just makes for a good store and good people there. They can help you with anything. They've got a bunch of different varieties of hunting clothes, targets, everything that you need. So call on them at 256-329-0080. Oliver Ross, if you've got a party, tailgate, sorority, fraternity, date party, wedding, convention, anything like that, Oliver Ross is going to be the bartending service for you. They are certified and licensed bartenders who are going to make sure that you have a great time at whatever event it is that you are hosting. You can focus on the entertainment while they focus on the bartending services. They're going to come in there, clean up after themselves, and make sure that y'all have a great time.
Check them out. Go to their Instagram page and look at, man, it's cool. I mean, just go check them out. All right, linebackers. That's another, when you and I were ranking position groups, and linebackers is down at the bottom because of the unknown. There's just simply going to be a lot of guys that are going to be playing that hasn't played at Auburn or got very limited opportunities last year. So, just said except when Tank ran out of bounds versus Alabama that time. Yeah, that's the one time I wish he would have stopped running. If he'd have stopped running, we would have probably won that game. But, it stopped the clock, and it hurt us. But linebacker, Faith, one of the new guys that Coach Freeze has been talking about and is expecting to get in the mix is Elijah Melendez. And when you look at him, in a room that's already thin, and especially losing DJ Barber, who was going to be a contributor this year, going to have to rely on some of these younger guys and definitely the transfers like a Caleb Wheatland that's coming in. But all of a sudden, and then JJ Fault, you mix him in there now. To go along with DeMarcus Riddick and Robert Woodyard, that would be called the veterans on this group. Right. I mean, let's just see what it's going to look like. We can't tell right now, but off the hoof, the linebackers look the part. Again, it goes back to our initial statement in the opening of the podcast this morning, is that I couldn't go to any position group and say, well, that doesn't look good or we're deficient there. Like, we just don't know. The reason they're ranked low, in our opinion, is because we just don't have anything to go off of.
Yeah, I agree. Seeing the size comparison from last year to this year, obviously they're growing as, you're turning from 18, 19 to 20. But even just seeing the size difference from spring and summer, just of how ready they are, I think you can just see how the development through them and they flow in what they're doing. You know what I mean? When you see somebody and their size just doesn't add up with the way that their equilibrium maybe is working. They know how to use their body. And I think that's been something that, not that we've lacked, but they've lacked in this physical size.
Right.
And
But
so I think that's just going to make such a difference.
I do too. And I think
Does that make sense? Does that?
no, it does. I mean, basically what you're saying is, the intangibles, what you would think would be a typical, size for that position, we were probably undersized.
Yeah.
We didn't meet people's criteria in their mind for, that particular position. And you can't say that now. I mean, when you look at Robert Woodyard, you look at DeMarcus Riddick, you look at Caleb Wheatland, you look at, dadgum, JJ Faulk already.
Yeah, we said that yesterday.
What in the world, man?
He and Keldrick look very, very similar. I got confused during spring practice. I was like, is Keldrick playing or warming up right now? Because he was injured, so he wasn't doing too much. And I said, I was like, his hair got long all of a sudden. Nope, it was JJ.
Yeah, it was a little different person.
Yep.
Not even the same person. So
they do look identical though.
That right. I think, and I'll close on that position group, that I think this linebacking group through fall camp, Faith, is going to be one that you and I tell everybody that, okay, they're not a position group that should be ranked at the bottom anymore. I think the only reason we had to put them down there is because we, again, not to continue to beat a dead horse, we just don't have information to go off of. So naturally you get ranked toward the bottom. I think as the camp progresses, we're going to be able to report, man, linebackers look pretty dang good. And, it also will depend on how well they're doing in meeting rooms and with their coaches, and then what they're doing off the field to get prepared to play these positions, especially Robert Woodyard. Even though he's been there forever, if he's going to be the starting middle linebacker, then he's got to be the field general. He's got to be the guy that calls the defense. I mean, your Mike Backer is the guy that calls the defenses, and this will be his first shot at it. So, will it be by committee, whatever? But when you look at the middle linebacker, it's basically the position on defense of the quarterback on offense. So we'll see how that plays out, but you got to do a lot of that off the field preparation and knowing how to get everybody aligned so people don't run in the wrong gap, so to say.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you nailed that.
All right. Justin just said, go ahead.
No, yeah, Justin. He said, does Alec McPherson look healthy? He looks great. We didn't see him kick 2 days ago at all, but I know he is doing stuff and he's
fine. Yeah, he's
going to be playing, but he physically he looks great. He looks a lot better, and he had a smile on his face, that's for sure, when every single time I've seen him. Looks happy, so it's really good to have him back.
No doubt about it. What a weapon. And we were talking about that just a few days ago, how the kicking game cost Auburn a few games last year. I mean, there's no other way around it. And, to have him back and have a guy, he's one of your breakout players. When we did our breakout player show a few days ago, he was one of your top 3. And I thought it was a good choice because it's such a major part of what you do. It's one of the 3 phases of the game. And if you're poor in special teams, it shows up when you play good teams and when you're in close games. And it shows up not in a good way when you're not good. So, I think that's a really, really good addition back to Auburn. I know that, it's first and foremost just glad he's healthy. But to get his talent level back and the weapon that he really is going to help Auburn tremendously. And again, takes pressure off coaches, in certain situations to go, okay, let's just not make a dumb call here and get pushed out of field goal range because we got 3 in the bag right here with Alex. That's strategy. That's part of how you go into a drive, especially in a close game where you're going, we got to come out of this with at least 3. Whereas if you don't have a kicker that you're very confident in, you feel like you may have to take a chance and make a play to get on further down the field, and then you end up making a mistake or whatever, and it turns out where you get 0 points out of it.
We saw that definitely more than we ever have, I think, in Auburn history last year.
Yes, for sure. All right. A couple more, and then we're going to end with a few notes on Baylor because we're going to start getting in the groove of that. And then we've got a couple things we want to tell everybody about. One thing that I noticed, and I know he didn't grow any, but Jackson Arnold, for some reason, looked different to me than he did in spring. Because I remember you and I saying, man, I didn't know he was that small. He put on weight. And again, like he didn't grow taller, but he just did look different. Maybe it was an air of confidence that we saw in him, and he was kind of in control of, the drills with the quarterbacks and the receivers. I don't know. That may be just me. What did you think?
I definitely think he looked different. Maybe it's the confidence because Deuce just looked so big during the –
yeah.
Deuce just looked so massive next to him where he kind of looked like a little bobblehead almost. But I think he looked really good. I think he had definitely some, as Coach said, swagger to him.
Right.
And he looked good. He definitely had just, I guess, an aura around him.
Yeah. He added girth. He added girth.
Stop.
He did. I mean, I'm just reporting what he said, so I'll leave it at that. I couldn't get through 2 or 3 days of this without at least
I'm logging off. Get out of here.
So anyway, but for the most part, yes, he did look different. And look, hey, what about Ashton Daniels, man? Like,
he looked really good too.
He really did. Like, very impressive. Very, very impressive.
They were rotating with the receivers. It wasn't even really first string, second string. You know what I mean? It was kind of just everybody was in a rotation. But he was overthrowing the ball some. He's got an arm for sure.
Who else looked impressive? Our trainers.
Yeah. Hey, shout out to them. Again, I will give them credit.
Some of those guys have some wheels, man. Like running down those passes, like one of those guys ran down a pass that was like 60 yards downfield. And I'm like, good Lord. So, yeah, just a tremendous effort by our trainers out there in excruciatingly hot weather, by the way. So, and Damari Alston alluded to that too. He's like, man, it's hot out here, like real hot. So, all right, let's talk about a couple more of our partners, and then we'll talk about what we're doing today and then a little bit on Baylor as we head out.
Old Number One Customs, if you got an outdoor living space, if you've got a master bathroom, kitchen, anything that needs a renovation, it's time to do it with Old Number One Customs while your kids go back to school and they're not going to be at the house all day. 2 weeks is the time frame that Old Number One Customs need just to be in and out of your house. Crazy that somebody can do a full transformation in 2 weeks when you'd probably do it for 2 years. So call an Old Number One Customs.
334-752-6162.
JFA Blue Plumbing, you want to have filtered water throughout your entire house. You want it filtered, purified, everything. So you don't have those pink little rings on your showers. Or if you have any of those nasty growths from water sitting in, I don't know, your toilet sink, whatever it is, disgusting. JFA Blue Plumbing is going to make sure you have a Home Atlas water filter duo that's going to give you purified filtered water throughout your whole house. So call on them, 844-JFA Blue.
All right, Baylor depth chart, again, just highlighting going into a preview. We're not going to dive into a lot this morning, Faith, as we're coming to the end of our show. Depth chart wise, though, this is a team that's predicted to win the Big 12 by several services out there. And the reason being is because of their running back room and their quarterback. And when you return Sawyer Robertson, who had a great year last year, and basically going into a redshirt senior year. He's going to, anytime you have a quarterback that's that big of a veteran, you've got an advantage. And then you've got, Bryson Washington and Dawson Pendergrass, who are the top two running backs in the Big 12. So Auburn's going to have their hands full, and again, scoring points wasn't their problem last year. It was stopping people. They added Kobe Prentice to the mix. Everybody around here knows who the heck that is because he was on Alabama's team. And I remember him when he played at Calera, how good of a player he was there. So they've got weapons. That's going to be the thing that's going to be when you watch this game that I'm going to watch early on is how Auburn's defense is able to handle the offensive line for Baylor, and is Auburn getting pressure on Sawyer Robertson, and are they going to change their game plan with it being hot as hell out there at the end of August playing in Texas? Are they going to rely on that two-headed monster at running back to try to wear Auburn down and get them into the second half in a close game where they can just control the clock and just continue to pound? I think that's going to be their game plan. I may be totally wrong, but I think that's how they're going to try to approach it.
I think that's a good thought of how they're going to do things because they're out there practicing in this Texas heat every single day, where Auburn is, over in Alabama where it's not the same. But, I think they've got all these vets on their team and they've played together and they know exactly. And it's an older team.
It is.
And we just went through about how our defense is either at their sophomore year or maybe their junior year, but only had 1 or 2 years underneath their belt. So it is going to be a challenge for them. Thank goodness that we have talked about the size and how they've physically gotten bigger, but it's going to be a big challenge for them.
No, it is. And one thing that stands out to me, and I'll close on this, and I know you've seen it too, when I look at Baylor's offense, they got one guy that they're projecting to start that wasn't there last year, and that's Kobe Prentice. Yep. One guy. So pretty much the 10 guy, they're really not even replacing anybody because Kobe Prentice has got a guy that was there last year behind him. Mm-hmm. So really they have the complete offense back, even through 2 deep. There's only a handful of guys on the depth chart that would be a backup that wasn't there last year. So they've got a good nucleus on offense of people that have already been familiar with what they're doing, and there's not a lot of learning curve coming in on the offensive side.
And if you look up and down their depth chart, they've got all of them are either redshirt sophomore or redshirt seniors or redshirt juniors, except for Bryson Washington, the running back, who's a redshirt sophomore. Other than that, all redshirt juniors.
This is an older team. So, all right, on the flip side, defense is not so much. They needed help. They went out and got help. They got 4, possibly 5 guys on defense that'll be starting that are brand new, and they're transfers. It's not freshmen coming in. These are transfer juniors or seniors coming in from different places. Pretty much their entire linebacking core is a transfer. The guy they got projected to start at nose tackle is a transfer. So you're looking at it within the first 2 levels of their defense. And when you look at the 2 deep on that, they probably got 7 guys in the 2 deep there on the defensive line and linebacker core that are going to be new guys. So, yes, Dave Aranda went out and said, we can't give up 60 every game.
Right.
We've got to get better on defense. So we'll see if those guys are up to par. And then, of course, with all the new guys that we have, especially Jackson Arnold, how can he perform against a defense that, again, hasn't been together very long? So it's going to be interesting to see.
I'm excited. I can't believe we're finally in the month
of
this actual
28 days
start.
away. Can you believe that?
Thank goodness.
28 days away from kickoff, and we'll be there for it. We're excited about it, looking forward to it, and looking forward to today. We will be at the Lucky Flight Bottle Shop down in Stillwaters, which is right down from where we've been multiple times, and there's so many cool shops down there. You and I are hitting them all. We've been to Backyard Dreams. We've been to the grocery store. We went to Stillwaters, went to Prime Steakhouse, and went to Tess's Salon, which you loved. I loved it too, but you got you just had a day that day, and so it was awesome. But they're having a wine tasting tonight, so we're going to be there to kind of promote that for everybody. I mean, twist our arm, right?
Right. Literally, I'm so excited.
Really, really tough day at the office, but we're going to be there.
John asked earlier where we're going to be next week for the lunch show. And so
next week we will be at Baumhauer's on Friday, right?
Yeah. And I just want to let everybody know the schedule on our website has been updated for the month of August, as well as our new partnership with Henderson and Coker.
Yes, and we'll talk more about that as well, because we do want to promote that definitely. But we will be at Baumhauer's next Friday, and then the following Monday on the 11th, we will be at Lake Mark Pizza in Dayville on Highway 49. So those are our next two on locations, and we're looking forward to it. But we will be at Stillwaters today at Lucky Flight Bottle Shop right there on 49. So we're looking forward to it. Also, and we'll be having this special show come out for everybody. Coach Tommy Tuberville, or Senator Tommy Tuberville, or whatever you want to call him. I still call him Coach Faith. He will be on the show with us later this morning. We will be doing a recorded podcast with him. So looking forward to it. I was with Coach Tuberville when he first started at Auburn as a student assistant, and looking extremely forward to having him on. He's been on the show numerous times. It'll be the first time that you've had a chance to be with him. And guess what we're going to talk about?
NIL.
Got to. And he's got some interesting things he's been working on, and a lot that's going on with that. Plus, more information came out yesterday. You sent that to me. You're like, did you see this? I'm like, oh my God, what is it? And it's like, can you just figure out what you want to do?
Yeah.
I mean, just wild. But anyway, going to be having that pushed out either later today or tomorrow. We will push that out. Faith and I will be with Senator / Coach and maybe future governor Tommy Tuberville. I think he's just going to go ahead and get every title he can get. And he may run for president one day. Who knows? We'll see how this all goes. So could be interesting. All right, Faith, we got a busy morning ahead of us, so we need to get out. So I'll let you have the floor.
I hope everybody has the best day ever, best weekend ever. Do something good.
Absolutely. And a big old
War Eagle.